have any luck with the shows we saw this time around? Well, let's start with George Clooney and Grant Haslov's Good Night and Good Luck, which is based on their movie of the same name. It shows Edward Murrow's attempts to bring down Senator McCarthy and his dreaded blacklist against real and perceived communists that frightened Americans in the 50s with the House of Un-American Activities, HUAC. People would name names and destroy lives to preserve their own. No one was safe. Fred Friendly, the director of See It Now, and Walter Paley, the head of the network, were behind Murrow as long as he had irrefutable proof that could bring McCarthy down without endangering themselves or the network. Much like All the President's Men, this became a suspenseful, investigative search to find an opening that would finally expose McCarthy's corruption. And I was excited to see Will Dagger as Don Hewitt, one of our favorite downtown actors.
I had seen the 2005 movie of Good Night and Good Luck, also written by Clooney and Heslop, where Clooney played Fred Friendly. But this time around as Murrow, he really does an absolutely amazing job. The set is totally immersive. It looks like a combination between a working newsroom and Grand Central Station. There's people running everywhere, and it's a large cast, and you're not exactly sure initially who's who. But Clooney as Murrow, if you've ever watched old clips, was perfect. For me, some of the standouts were Glenn Fleshler as Fred Friendly, who was basically Clooney's partner in crime, who supported him in all of his programming on See It Now, which is the program that went after McCarthy. Paul Gross as William Paley, who had to walk a very fine line between giving Murrow his head and also having to answer to the corporate sponsors who were not happy about the fact that this shiny little show they thought they were advertising their dishwashing liquid and shampoo to ladies on was suddenly taking on this very powerful senator from Wisconsin. Unlike today, when all of the corporate magnates are crumbling in the face of pressure from DC, Paley actually stood up and said, you know what, go ahead, do it. Also, Clark Gregg as Don Hollenbeck, poor Don Hollenbeck. Those guys were the standouts to me. It's an interesting premise that has shocking parallels with what's going on now. And at the very end of the play, when Clooney is, as Murrow, is talking about this rise of fascism and how to battle it going forward, somebody in the audience who definitely was not a cast member screamed, "Resist," and the entire audience burst into applause. I thought this was an amazing movie, an amazing play in an amazing time, and I don't say that last thing positively. You don't have many more chances to see it, but if you can't get to the theater, on Saturday, June 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, CNN will be broadcasting the second to last live performance for free if you have CNN. So if you can watch it, do. I give it a happy face.
And there'll be much more of our reviews of Good Night and Good Luck on Facebook, and I give it a happy face also. Here we are with Edward Einhorn, who has done a lot with that club Havel, and now he's doing Rehearsal for Truth International Theater Festival, which honors that club Havel. But it also features 12 works from Austria, Belarus, Bulgaria, Estonia, Czechia, Germany, Hungary, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, and Ukraine. Oh my gosh, it sounds like some sort of tongue twister song from Gilbert and Sullivan. So tell us all about this incredible festival and the Blood, Sweat, and Queers by this Czech writer, which you are going to pronounce, which I can't.
I'm actually directing one piece that we did as a reading last year. A German group came and did it as a reading. It's called Blood, Sweat, and Queers by Tomasz Dianiszka, and it is about the real story of Zdeněk Koubek, who was a runner from the 1930s and won all these awards, broke the women's world record multiple times in track, and then decided to transition to male. And so he transitioned, and then, interestingly, he ended up performing on Broadway with Josephine Baker. he would just come out and run. People would on a treadmill, and people would cheer for that because they were so excited to see this new phenomenon. So it's a really interesting history, and Tomasz wrote it in a way that's really comic and absurd, and obviously there are like dark parts with it because of the prejudice that he encountered, but also really fun and joyful parts of it. It's a commentary in general about how this interacted with the rise of fascism. This was right before the Munich Olympics, and people from the Nazi regime were the first people to try to define sex and gender for the Olympics. And that legacy still exists in the Olympics, where they keep redefining, gender. It's a really fascinating piece, both about history and about today. And the lead character is played by Hennessy Winkler, and he was recently in Sweeney Todd on Broadway. He's a terrific actor. So that's one of the pieces, and we have about 7 performances of that. The rest of the pieces are pretty much one night events because they're coming in from Europe and performing and going back. And the range is from, there's a clown performance from Poland, really funny piece that I've seen. There's a puppet performance, shadow puppetry from the Czech Republic, from the head of the puppetry department at the Theater Academy. There is a piece from South Africa, that's an adaptation of Kafka. There's a piece from Belarus, from the Belarus Free Theater people, and one that's being live streamed in from Salzburg with some people here as well commenting on it. There was visa problems with the current administration, and the Belarusian dissident couldn't make it through. But I think it's a really important piece to see. And there's a ton of piece coming in from Slovakia, a science fiction piece. Really, just a lot of work. I'm missed things because there's so much, but I'm gonna show the brochure, and then you see Blood, Sweat, and Queers, and then you see like all these different things.
And it's going on only till June
Yeah.
15th.
June 15th is yeah, so it's 3 weeks straight, pretty much a show every day. There are a couple days off, I think, in that, but there's something every day, and often a different show, so you could come almost every night. Though, as I say, the Blood, Sweat, and Tears repeats 7 times.
I'm so excited. You always bring the most exciting festivals to us. I mean, from Ionesco to Havel, and who knows what you'll come up with next, but it's always very thought-provoking. So
Thank
everyone,
you.
go see these. Get it, just see all of them. Lisa Loomer and Neil Benjamin's Real Women Have Curves, with music and lyrics by Joy Huerta and Benjamin Velez, is based on the play by Josefina Lopez that inspired the iconic hit film. Real Women Have Curves, the musical. An immigrant family from Mexico tries to make it in Los Angeles in 1987 with the constant threat of ICE hanging over their heads. Estella has established a dressmaking factory with the help of her mother, who works there, and her house painting father, Rowell. Her sister Anna, who is still in high school, wants to be a journalist and go to New York City to Columbia University. The trouble is that Anna is the only legal resident, as she was born in the United States. She is responsible for filling out taxes and paperwork at the factory. Her leaving for New York and starting her own life would be disastrous for the business and the family. All the women who work at the factory are also illegal immigrants. Things come to a head when a successful businesswoman orders 200 dresses to be finished in 3 weeks, or they don't get paid. Meanwhile, Anna is roped into working at the factory, and she is also writing for a newspaper where she meets Henry, who takes a fancy to her. Will they get the dresses finished in time? Can they avoid ICE? Will Anna be allowed to live her life, or must she be under obligation to her family forever? Why this is called Real Women Have Curves is beyond me. This has nothing to do with body shaming or appearances or superficially celebrating all shapes and sizes and women. This is about hardworking immigrants trying to live the American dream for their families and themselves, the indignities they have to go through just to survive. This was poignant and inspiring and deserves to be seen by more people. The dancing, acting, and singing are very impressive. It helps to have Sergio Trujillo at the helm, who really understands these characters. This high energy, heartfelt show couldn't come at a better time to show the humanity in people just trying to get by with all the politics trying to ruin them. Major happy face.
The Last Bimbo of the Apocalypse, a new pop musical with book, music, and lyrics by Michael Breslin, and book, additional music, and lyrics by Patrick Foley, and directed by and developed with Rory Perseus. A 2006 New York Post photo labeled Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, and Paris Hilton as the three bimbos of the apocalypse. Three Gen Z internet sleuths investigate who the fourth girl in the photo is, an early 2000s singer, Coco, who had one hit and inexplicably disappeared. The music is a pulsating rock score, which wouldn't have been bad if each song didn't sound like a continuation of the song before it, therefore making it sound very repetitive. The six-member ensemble cast, Patrick Nathan Falk, Kerry Renee Fuller, Sarah Gettelfinger, Luke Islam, Miley Shapiro, and the glorious voice Natalie Walker are all terrific. To say that I am not the target audience for this musical would be an understatement. The audience at the Alice Griffin Jewel Box Theater was filled with Gen Z and millennials, but there was a smattering of us older folk. But they were very young and enthusiastic, and any musical that can fill up an audience with the future theater goers can't be all bad. It's playing at the Jewel Box Theater at the Signature Center through June 3rd. And Eva, who is seeing this later, her review will be on Facebook. A mixed face from me.
This is Tony Marinelli's review of Shellshocked by Philip Stokes. It's a searing exploration of the psychological toll of war and the intergenerational scars it leaves behind, and this is for World War I. Wesley, a young ex-soldier, is seeking apprenticeship with Mr. Lupine, a once celebrated artist now consumed by bitterness and manipulation. Lupine hires Wesley so he can wield cruel demands over him to mess with his head. Will Wesley be able to break free of these inappropriate requests from a man that he used to admire? Anchored by exceptional performances from Lee Bainbridge and Jack Stokes, the play is a haunting, intelligent meditation on the cost of emotional repression and the corrosive nature of unchecked authority. He gives it a happy face, and there's a much bigger review on Facebook.
Classic Stage Company, Natco, and Transport Group are presenting William Inge's 1955 play Bus Stop, directed by Jack Cummings III. In this play, a group of travelers and locals spend the night in a rural Kansas bus stop diner while the roads are closed due to an early March storm. Grace is the diner owner, and Elma is a young but proficient waitress. Carl is the bus driver who has a good reason to enjoy the layover. The sheriff, Will, makes sure that things don't get too out of hand. Among the travelers is Cherie, a chanteuse brought on the bus by an amorous cowboy, Bo. Cherie does not want to go with him to his ranch in Montana. Rodeo winner Bo is accompanied by his lifelong companion, Virgil Blessing, who is like a loving older brother, and he frequently has to calm Bo down. Virgil plays the guitar and is a rather soulful type. Dr. Gerald Lyman is a professor of English who drinks too much and seems overly fond of young women, such as Elma. The characters often talk about love, but no one seems especially sure what love is. The exception is the overly rowdy Beau, who seems to feel that because he has a strong hankering for Cherie, she must love him and agree to marry him and go with him to his ranch. Michael Sue Rosen seems too soft and doughy to be a muscular rodeo winner. Moses Villarama seems more muscular and appealing. And when he plays the guitar, again, he's Virgil, for Sherry to sing that old black magic, there seems to be strong chemistry between them. The chemistry seems absent between Beau and Cherie. As typical for Inge, in Bust Up, we become aware of the pervasive sadness and emptiness just below the surface of ordinary lives. Despite the lack of chemistry, this is generally a grounded, realistic production of a 1950s classic. I give it a happy face minus.
Yeah. The thing I noticed about this play is it basically deals with three things: loneliness, love, and there's a lot of sexual tension going on, and sexual innuendo and sexual underneathness beneath it all. So that was very well illustrated. But I agree with you about the chemistry and then the bad casting of Beau, who is a wonderful actor, mind you. It's just he just was not the right part for this one. Midori Francis was absolutely stunning as Cherie. And I love Cindy Chung as, the sort of hard-bitten, realistic, pragmatic owner of the diner. And Elma, Delphi Borish, was adorable as a sweet, innocent thing. You just adored her. And let's see, Rajesh Bose as the doctor. I had this wonderful speaking voice that, I mean, I could see why anyone's head would be turned by him because it's so mellifluous and he comes off as so intelligent and you just like love being admired by this person. So I like you, I would give this a happy face -2. Here we are with author Barry Rowell and director Mia Y. Anderson, who are doing Peculiar Works project at the Target Margins Doxy with Barry's play Freedom's Last Stand.
Play is something that I started actually in 1996. The original idea was Coriolanus in a box. And that didn't work. Then I started adding in these little conspiracy theories that I was finding on the internet. And so we sort of had a kind of a jumble of a little bit of Shakespeare, a little bit of original writing, and a little bit of these conspiracy theories. So over the last 25 years, I've been going back to it every now and then, pull it out of the drawer, virtually speaking, and we're working it. And so the piece is about a domestic terrorist who is in a standoff with federal agents having committed a crime. So that's kind of the piece in a nutshell. And then we were very fortunate to have Rob Mitzner and David Ross to write music for the show. The music is kind of a Greek chorus of the play where the band commenting on the moments and different characters expressing their opinion or justifying their opinions in those moments. So that's the general overall of the production. And Mia, if you'd be nice enough to talk about what you've been working on with it.
Well, it is it's not a linear piece in a sense. It goes back and forth in time, realistic, but it has fantasy. So there's all these different elements of it that I've never sort of seen it put together in one piece before. And so in the staging of it, I really have focused on the moments. All these moments is what helped to create what happens at the end of this piece. And so that's what I have been focusing on in terms of putting it together.
Do you think what happened in Washington, D.C. recently might impact the way people perceive this piece now?
We originally had intended to do this play last October. And a friend of mine, Gabriel Shanks, said, "Do you really want to do this play right before the election?" And I was like, "Yeah, people really aren't going to want to see this." And then, Ralph and Catherine and I talked about it. And is it a play for today? And ultimately, we agreed with exactly the reasons that Mia just stated. that these are, even though there are things in the play that are not, that more people know about now. Like when I wrote the first draft in 1996, nobody had ever heard of it. Like I was watching a YouTube video last night of a guy who we watch a lot called Legal Eagle, and the one thing he brought up was the 13th Amendment, the missing 13th Amendment, which is a conspiracy theory that I discovered back in 1996.
13th Amendment that's missing. I don't even know about this one.
There literally was a 13th Amendment that was written, but it was never ratified. And so the conspiracy is that it was ratified, but they tried to suppress it. And so there's a whole dialogue between this character that I called the propagandist, who is the promoter of almost all the conspiracy theories. And the scene, the main character's mother is watching the video and talking back to the television like you do, and so it's a very funny moment, but actually the conspiracy is, they're very serious about it.
Yes.
It's like, believe it or not.
Yes,
Yeah.
literally.
Your own version of it, your own horrifying but comically horrifying version of it.
I think it's important to say that the play we are doing, it has like maybe 4 scenes in it that were in the original play. The original piece focused mostly on these kind of sovereign citizen, which is people who believe that laws don't apply to them for various crazy reasons, and that was the majority of the conspiracies. But of course, since then we've had a lot more. The world has changed, and so we have a lot more misogyny, and so the involuntary celibate community has made an impact on the conspiracy theories, and just in general the hatred that I think is being expressed by a lot of people, a lot more people than I'm comfortable with.
Well, it sounds fascinating and it sounds almost cathartic. So I'm actually looking forward to it because I think I need this play at the moment. So it really did come at the perfect time.
Yeah.
I hope so. And the music is really, I can't emphasize enough how good the music is. The actors are doing a great job with the music, and of course the songs are actually, even some of the worst ones are still kind of fun.
Well, thank you very much. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Nina Conti is back at the Soho Playhouse with her snarky sidekick Monkey in this hilarious unscripted show. Monkey is going to outlive Nina, so we'll need to find a new ventriloquist. One never thinks about that, does one? Monkey calls the show like charade on acid. Seems like most of the audience is retired, but Nina managed to find some very funny people to put on the mask while she manipulated the dialogue. Some of the volunteers we got was a retailer of leather and silver, an audiologist and her son, a guy looking for love, a political cartoonist who couldn't bear the thought of over 3 more years of drawing that orange monster, and a French-speaking woman. They put on improvised songs with accompaniment with Becky Goodman, and Monkey gave some psychological advice to audience members. As always, the show is pure chaotic lunacy that kept everyone in stitches. She and Monkey are not to be missed. Major Happy Face closes June 1st. We interviewed Nina Conti and Monkey last year, and here is a YouTube link.
At the Vineyard Theater, you could see Ball F, written and directed by Nazareth Hassan, with music by Free Fool. It's also a presentation of National Black Theater and the New Group. In this show, 2 would-be rap artists try to come up with a name for their duo while skateboarding in an empty swimming pool, often under the influence of one drug or another. They're often somewhat touching interludes of flirting when the more masculine of the pair, Quintavious, offers some food to the more femme, Kelly. I had no idea that these characters had names until I was able to see the online playbill. In the second half, when they are on acid trip, a 3rd character, Lemon Pepper Wings, appears. At first, she seems demure and cute like a Japanese animal human doll figure. But when she takes the cute large head mask off, she becomes ferocious, telling a lusty and bloody tale about the two guys. Again, until I saw the names in the playbill, I had no idea that the story was about them. As an older white guy, I often felt completely lost in this 80-minute production. Because of my discomfort and confusion, it was an extremely long 80 minutes. I must say, I loved the pale green, peanut-shaped pool that the audience surrounding it looks down on. I also found the costumes to be striking. I realized that the performers were doing a masterful job in their stage behavior. I was just unable to really appreciate it. I suspect that younger audience members, and there were many of them at this performance, got a lot more enjoyment and understanding out of the show than I did. I give it mixed faces.
Our next show is June 14th. At 92nd Street Y, we've got Lyrics and Lyricists. They're doing Sing Happy, the collaboration of Kander and Ebb with Kate Baldwin, Heidi Blickenstaff, Ivan Hernandez, Adam Cantor, Julia Murney, Matthew Scott, and that's going from May 31st to June 2nd. And then they're doing an evening with President Bill Clinton and James Patterson with their book, The First Gentleman, June 11th at 7 o'clock. Theater World Awards is June 2nd, and the Tonys will be on June 8th. The Actors Temple's comedy benefit will be on June 9th. Hotsy Totsy Burlesque is doing a tribute to Stephen King on Thursday, June 12th at the Slipper Room. And closing June 1st, you can see Leonard Feigenblatt's review on Facebook for Ballet Hispánico, which presents Carmen.Maquia at New York City Center. And my review will be on Facebook for the United States versus Ulysses at Irish Arts Center. And Mark's review will be on Facebook for Seagull, the True Story at La Mama. Hamlet Isn't Dead presents Cymbeline at St. Luke's Theater, and Puppetopia, the Harlem Doll Palace, will be at here. Closing June 8th is She Takes Flight at the Chain Theater, that Ann Mallon's review will be on Facebook. Okay at Intar, Tony Marinelli's review will be on Facebook. The Next Step Festival, with lots of stuff going on at Gorell Theater, and one of them, Kristen, will review Apples for August on Facebook. Mama Piranha at Jackson, Brooklyn, June 12th to 14th. John Galsworthy's The First to Last at ATA, June 11th to June 15th at the Beekman Theater. And the next show, June 15th, we're going to be doing Nine Moons from Blessed Unrest at TNC and Goddess at the Public Theater.